Flowing through time and history, the Tigris River weaves tales that intertwine with the very roots of civilization. Its waters once nurtured the fabled Garden of Eden, a testament to its life-giving prowess. The Tigris is not merely a waterway, it is a conduit of human progress. In its embrace, the seeds of agriculture were sown, the first words of writing etched, and the revolutionary wheel set in motion. Nineveh, a historical capital of Assyria, along with the cities of Kala and Ashur, thrived alongside the banks of the Tigris River. But the important river that supported the ancient world might dry up soon. The Tigris, referred to as Hiddakal in Hebrew, is positioned as the eastern counterpart to the other major river, the Euphrates, which defines the boundaries of Mesopotamia. Beginning its journey in the Armenian highlands, the river winds its way southward, navigating through the dry terrains of the Syrian and Arabian deserts, ultimately releasing its waters into the Persian Gulf. The Tigris is mentioned twice in the pages of the Holy Bible. Initially, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 14, it is depicted as one of the 4 rivers originating from the Garden of Eden. And the name of the third river is Tigris, which flows east of Ashur. Subsequently, in Daniel chapter 10, verse 4, it becomes the backdrop for a significant moment in Daniel's visionary experience. Positioned along the banks of the Tigris, Daniel encountered a celestial vision featuring an angelic presence, detailed in Daniel chapter 10, verses 4 through 8. This angel proceeded to unveil to Daniel the extensive prophecies chronicled in chapters 11 and 12. Nevertheless, this notable river is undergoing a process of decline, attributed to a combination of human activities and the impacts of climate change, resulting in the narrowing of its once robust course through Iraq. But something significant emerged after its water receded. It unveiled the remains of an expansive city that originates from 3,400 years ago and was once located along the banks of the Tigris River. This occurrence provides a glimpse into the Mitanni Empire's historical presence in the region, spanning from 1500 to 1350 BCE. The settlement emerged from the depths of the Mosul Reservoir as a result of the sharp decline in water levels attributed to the severe drought in Iraq. This extensive city, boasting a palace and numerous large structures, potentially corresponds to the ancient Zakiku, believed to have held significance as a center within the Mitanni Empire. In 1985, the city became submerged as a result of the construction of the Mosul Dam, which led to the Tigris River filling the reservoir and submerging the city. Prior to the flooding, no archaeological excavations had been conducted in the region. This event in the Kurdistan region of Iraq placed archaeologists in an unexpected time crunch to swiftly uncover and document sections of a significant, expansive city before it became submerged once again. A collaborative effort between Kurdish and German archaeologists was orchestrated to carry out urgent rescue excavations. The team responsible for these crucial excavations was assembled rapidly, facing immense pressure due to the uncertainty of when the water levels might rise once more. In a relatively short period, the researchers managed to extensively map the city, revealing several noteworthy structures that can be traced back to the era of the long-lost kingdom. Founded in 1475 BC and dissolved by 1260 BC, the Mitanni Empire stood as one of the most significant and potent nations of its era, extending its influence across vast distances. Formerly spanning from what is now northern Iraq down through Syria and extending into Turkey, this empire ranked among the foremost powers of the Bronze Age. At its zenith, this kingdom achieved victory over mightier contemporaneous empires, namely the Hittites and Assyria, while maintaining a strong alliance with Egypt. It stands out as one of the most affluent realms of the Bronze Age. Interestingly, very little information exists about this powerful civilization. It stands as a truly overlooked civilization, because even though it was incredibly influential in its prime, only a few records of its existence have survived to this day. This can be attributed to the destruction of a significant portion of Mitanni's culture and records by the Assyrians at a later time. Although there's not much information about the people themselves, letters between Mitanni's kings and Assyria and Egypt, found in the Amarna letters discovered in 1887, along with the world's oldest manual on training horses and a treaty between Mitanni and the Hittites, show that the nation was doing well and successful from about 1500 to 1240 BCE. By the year 1350 BCE, Mitanni's influence had grown substantially, propelling it into membership within the esteemed League of Great Powers alongside Egypt, the Hittite Kingdom, Babylonia, and Assyria. It's comparable to the modern-day G7. Life during the Mitanni Empire was marked by a unique blend of cultural influences, military prowess, and diplomatic interactions. People in this civilization engaged in various activities such as agriculture, trade, and craftsmanship. The Mitanni people gained renown for their prowess as skilled riders and chariot operators. Historical records attest that they were the trailblazers behind the advancement of a nimble war chariot equipped with spoked wheels, a departure from the solid wooden wheels used by civilizations like the Sumerians. This innovation resulted in swifter and more maneuverable chariots. The empire's skillful use of horses and chariots gave them a military advantage, allowing them to expand their territory and engage in conflicts with neighboring powers. However, despite its achievements and influence, the Mitanni Empire eventually faced a decline. The rise of rival powers, internal struggles, and external pressures from the Hittites all contributed to its weakening. By approximately 1350 BCE, the empire had lost its prominence, and its once mighty legacy began to fade into obscurity. The significance of the revealed structures lies in their potential to enrich our understanding of this mysterious civilization. Another reason highlighting the importance of this discovery for Mitanni is referenced in the Book of Judges within the Bible. Mitanni's historical context strongly challenges the notion of a late Exodus date, often referred to as the Ramesses Exodus date, placing it in the 1200s BC. This is due to compelling evidence indicating that Othniel, one of Israel's earliest judges, confronted a Mitanni invasion as depicted in Judges 3. An Exodus date aligning with Ramesses would position Judge Othniel in the 1100s BC, nearly 2 centuries after Mitanni's decline as a dominant kingdom. This, in turn, suggests an earlier time frame for the Exodus event. The team responsible for the excavation observed the astonishingly well-maintained condition of the sun-dried mud brick walls, some of which still stood several meters tall, despite having been submerged for years. This extraordinary state of preservation is credited to the city's downfall around 1350 BC, caused by an earthquake that led to the upper parts of the walls collapsing and enveloping the underlying structures. Additionally, the team unearthed artifacts that offer a more vivid glimpse into the historical lifestyle along the Tigris River. Among their discoveries were 5 ceramic vessels containing more than 100 cuneiform tablets, which represent an ancient script employed in the Middle East. A collection of clay tablets, potentially comprising letters, still reside within their protective clay coverings. The research team holds hopeful anticipation that these aged inscriptions will provide valuable understanding about life in the concluding era of the Mitanni Empire within the area. The remarkable endurance of these uniform, unfired clay tablets, even after years submerged underwater, is seen as an almost miraculous feat according to the researchers. The Euphrates River is an ancient waterway that has played a vital role in shaping human history. However, it has been gradually drying up in recent years, plunging millions of people into a period of unprecedented drought. Spanning from Turkey to Syria and then Iraq, this long stretch of river has been the major source of water in the region for over 10,000 years, sustaining human civilizations and allowing them to flourish. However, the drying up of the Euphrates is not entirely unexpected, as it has been predicted in a terrifying prophecy that seems to be coming true. The significance of the Euphrates River in human history cannot be overstated. It has been responsible for creating the Fertile Crescent, a part of ancient Mesopotamia where the first and oldest recorded agricultural practices originally began. In times of old, the Euphrates provided a constant source of clean water for men to practice farming and other agricultural practices, which later spread to other parts of the world. The Euphrates River was also one of the first rivers to be recorded in the Bible, as it was among the 4 rivers that were said to originate from the Garden of Eden. In biblical records, the Euphrates served as a key dividing barrier between the East and West, shaping key events such as wars and invasions that have in turn shaped the distribution of people and power in much of Asia and North Africa. The river's significance spreads as far back as over 450,000 years ago, with Shulian stone artifacts and the remains of early Homo erectus having been found buried in its banks. Stretching a distance of over 1,730 miles, originating from the Armenian mountains in eastern Turkey, the Euphrates is the longest river in Asia, and together with the river Tigris, makes up the Fertile Crescent. The river flows through steep gorges and canyons in Turkey, then through lowlands in Syria, before cutting clear across Iraq and entering into the Persian Gulf. However, this ancient river is now drying up, with a significant drop in water levels across the length of its path. In most places in the lower part of the river, mostly in Iraq, the river has completely dried up, with the riverbed now completely visible, and what used to be submerged underwater now barren lands of cracked soil. In most places where the water has dried up, farmlands have become barren, as there is no source of irrigation for the crops, pushing villages into unusually long droughts. The fishing economies of these locations are now practically non-existent, as whatever small pools of water are left are contaminated or undrinkable. The once fertile crescent that gave birth to the world's agriculture is now a desolate land and is now practically unrecognizable from the last decade. The Euphrates River has been an important feature of many fascinating stories and historical events. Among these is the supposed discovery of the tomb of King Gilgamesh, an ancient ruler of the city of Europe. The Epic of Gilgamesh, which recounts the life of this king, is considered a Middle Eastern literary masterpiece and was written 2,000 years before the birth of Christ. According to the book, Gilgamesh was buried under the Euphrates River in a tomb constructed after the river's waters parted following his death. Gilgamesh is king of Uruk, an ancient kingdom on the banks of the Euphrates in what is the present-day Iraq. There is even some footage claiming to show the discovery of Gilgamesh's tomb, which many find intriguing. However, let me warn you that the authenticity of this footage is debatable. To know more about this discovery, let us go back in time to 2003. German explorers and archaeologists led by Jörg Fassbender found an ancient tomb that they believe belonged to giants that roamed the earth centuries or even millennia ago. The researchers reported that they discovered the bodies of massive giants and sent them to laboratories for testing, including carbon dating. Since the discovery, not much has been said about it, and it has been kept under wraps. As expected, the discovery has been the subject of some controversy. In the story, Gilgamesh was described as a giant who was 17 feet tall. He was reportedly the son of a Sumerian king and a Mesopotamian goddess, and ended up ruling over the land of Uruk, which later became a wreck. It is possible that he was buried in his hometown, and his body was eventually discovered in 2003. Gilgamesh was essentially a demigod, and in his reign, he waged wars against his enemies, and sometimes acted as a bit of a tyrant to his people. Not surprising considering he had godlike strength and could pretty much do whatever he wanted. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, it is said that the gods finally listened to the cries of Gilgamesh's people, who had to live in fear of their all-powerful king, and they wanted a savior. So Anu, the king of the gods, used clay and his own spit to make Enkidu, a wild man who would challenge Gilgamesh to a contest of strength. When Gilgamesh and Enkidu eventually came to blows, it was pretty epic, and their duel reportedly lasted days. Eventually, Gilgamesh still managed to eke out the win, and despite the win, he was reportedly so impressed by Enkidu that they eventually became friends. Later on, when Enkidu was eventually struck by death, Gilgamesh was so grief-stricken that he basically became a philosopher. The death of his friend caused him to question the meaning of life and the value of all human accomplishments when we're all going to end up dead someday. Enkidu's death also caused Gilgamesh to become a better person. He cast away all his pride and set out on an epic quest to find the meaning of life and hopefully even defeat death. For many years, everyone believed that the Epic of Gilgamesh was nothing more than a literary concept, and the ancient king probably didn't even exist. However, the discovery of Fassbender changed everything. Interestingly, the team of explorers didn't just see the burial site. According to Fassbender, the team uncovered over 100,000 hectares of land and property, many of which were described in the Epic of Gilgamesh. He also claimed that they found Babylonian houses and properties scattered around the area, all buried underground for thousands of years. It is fascinating to note that all of this was found in the desert, which is quite remarkable considering the significance of the Euphrates River in regard to biblical prophecy. As we get closer to the return of the Messiah, it is astonishing that more and more discoveries are being made that point towards the biblical narrative being fact. Aside from this tomb, there were other important discoveries that were made due to drying up of the Euphrates River. According to scientists, the Euphrates riverbed has revealed 6 distinct historical periods, each with its own unique artifacts and treasures. These periods include the Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, Greek, Byzantine, and Islamic eras. Without diverting the river or creating lakes in the desert, Syria constructed the Euphrates Dam in 1968, which led to the flooding of many ancient sites along the river. However, a few monuments and artifacts were saved from destruction. The region along the Euphrates River is home to hundreds of Syriac Christian monasteries and numerous cemeteries. Interestingly, when the sun shines and the lake water is clear, the submerged cemeteries can be clearly seen. In the western district of Raqqa, a few graves have been found on the right bank of the lake. However, the left bank has not been thoroughly studied due to its rockiness and difficulty in digging. Ancient cities and monuments have been revealed in Iraq as well. For example, the ancient city of Talbaz was uncovered in Anna, Iraq, as the river's waters receded. Iraqi archaeologist Mohammed Jassim claimed that the lower water level at the Haditha Dam resulted in the appearance of at least 80 historical monuments. Additionally, the Antiquities Department in Duhok, Iraq's Kurdistan province, recently announced the discovery of a Mitanni Empire city that dates back 3,400 years, which was discovered when floodwaters in the Tigris River basin receded. Another incredible archaeological discovery made due to the drying up of the Euphrates River is the ancient city of Zakiko, which was mentioned in Babylonian writings. This city boasts several buildings, including a palace, a huge fence, and cuneiform texts that have been found. What's more, researchers were astonished by how well some of the underwater mud walls that had been sun-dried for over 40 years had held up. They believe this is because of a city-destroying earthquake that buried and protected the city for millennia with the debris of the higher portions of the walls. As we consider the fascinating discoveries around the Euphrates River, we cannot help but wonder what other artifacts and evidence may be hidden beneath its depths. Undoubtedly, there is much more history and knowledge waiting to be discovered, evidence that will only add to our understanding of ancient history. These discoveries truly shape our understanding of the past, and we cannot wait to see what else lies beneath the surface of the Euphrates River.
Unearths a scary reality. The world is running out of water.
Imagine a river that, despite being smaller than the world's grandest watercourses and spanning a relatively short distance from one bank to the other, possesses a human history that is arguably unparalleled among all bodies of water on the planet. The body of water that we're talking about here is no other than the Jordan River. The meaning of the name Jordan is descender. This name likely originated from the Jordan River's significant descent of over 3,000 feet, stretching from its source in northern Palestine, which is approximately 50 miles north of the Sea of Galilee, to its termination at the Dead Sea. This river holds great significance for millions of people worldwide. It is supplied by 3 primary water sources: the Banias River, also known as Paneas, which is the location where Peter received the key to the kingdom of heaven from Jesus, the Hatzbani River, also called Nahal Snir, and the Dan River. The river's beauty alone is captivating, but it is the religious importance attached to it that truly makes it extraordinary. It holds a central position in the rich tapestry of history, religion, and culture spanning thousands of years. It is revered as a sacred site in 3 prominent world religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The river holds significant events within their respective narratives: Joshua's miraculous parting of the waters and the subsequent destruction of Jericho, Jesus' baptism as described in the Gospels, and the belief that Muhammad and his companions found their final resting place along its serene banks. There is no other river that is renowned for its association with baptism than that of the Jordan River. It's witnessing nearly 1 million people being baptized annually. While this practice originated from the baptism of Jesus, the river holds additional historical significance in relation to the sacred rite of Christianity. Although baptism was not always an integral part of Christianity, the concept of using water for purification dates back to ancient civilizations, such as the Mesopotamians. However, the first recorded instance of the Jordan River being connected to the act of baptism predates the baptism of Jesus and can be found in the Old Testament. Although not an actual baptism, the similarities make it akin to a symbolic or pseudo-baptism. According to biblical accounts, Naaman, a commander in the Syrian army, suffered from leprosy and sought healing from the prophet Elisha, despite being an adversary of the Israelites. Elisha instructed Naaman to wash himself 7 times in the waters of the Jordan. Initially reluctant, Naaman eventually followed Elisha's advice after being persuaded by his advisors. To his astonishment, Naaman emerged from the river completely cured, praising the Christian God. This event can be regarded as the earliest recorded association of baptism with the Jordan River, or at the very least, the first utilization of its waters for the purpose of purification. The river has also played a vital role in the development of countries such as Palestine, including its major city, Jerusalem, as well as Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. Since ancient times, it has been a vital source of water for irrigation, sustaining agriculture and human settlements in the region. Essentially, the Jordan River has nourished the ancestors of some of the most prominent nations we see today. Additionally, the flowing water of the river has been harnessed as a source of energy through the use of dams and other generators. However, a distressing situation is unfolding concerning the Jordan River. It is slowly drying up. Contrary to the description in an old song that portrays the Jordan River as deep and wide, the present-day reality of the river is quite different. It does not possess significant depth or width. At certain points, it resembles more of a brook than a mighty river, with a width of less than 10 meters and a depth of less than 2 meters. During the winter and spring, seasonal floods occur, causing the river to expand its width significantly. From the time of Jesus until the mid-20th century, these floods would result in a width of 1.5 kilometers. Dams constructed in Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, and Israel have effectively mitigated the risk of floods in the region. Now, you might ask what caused the river to dry up. Simply put, it became a casualty of conflict and the actions of humans. It is essentially a result of what we, as people, have done to the river. This unfortunate situation is further compounded by the impact of climate change. The drying up of the Jordan River can be attributed to human activities, particularly the excessive use of its resources. The agricultural sector, which heavily relied on the river for irrigation, played a significant role in the economies of neighboring countries, particularly in terms of crop exports. Unfortunately, the drying of the Jordan River has proven to be a catastrophic event for these countries. With its rich historical significance, the Jordan River has been an eyewitness to the rise of ancient human civilizations, serving as a remarkable location for numerous archaeological findings. Let us delve further into these discoveries that have profoundly influenced the course of human history. Extensive references in the Hebrew Bible shed light on an ancient Ammonite civilization, which served as a biblical kingdom situated in the Jordan River Valley. Initially, many regarded the Ammonites as merely a product of imagination, until the unearthing of the Ammon citadel inscription in 1961. However, ongoing discoveries are gradually providing further substantiation. One recent finding, a statue of remarkable proportions believed to date back to the 8th to 7th centuries BCE, serves as additional evidence for the existence of the Ammonite kingdom as described in biblical accounts. In 2010, while renovating the Roman theater at the Ammon citadel, a sizable stone object emerged amidst the dust of ancient Roman fill. Promptly, Professor Joel S. Burnett from Baylor University in Waco, Texas, and antiquities expert Rommel Garib from the Department of Antiquities of Jordan conducted a rescue operation to salvage this substantial artifact. Burnett emphasized that this newfound discovery is unparalleled in the region, both to the east and west of the Jordan River. The Hebrew Bible frequently mentions the coexistence of the Ammonite people with the ancient Israelites. These references, amounting to 123 occurrences throughout biblical narratives, place the Ammonites in the region known as Gilead, which lies between the Jabbok and Arnon River, which is present-day Jordan. Described as one of Israel's adversarial neighbors, the Ammonites frequently formed alliances with the Moabites and Syrians against Israel. The traces of foreign artistic influences in their style provide evidence of their persistent efforts to align with Israel's enemies. Upon its successful extraction from the landfill, the team was able to fully comprehend the immense size of the colossal 2-ton stone statue. Standing at a height of 2.1 meters, this basalt statue portrays a standing Ammonite king, featuring a distinctive blend of Egyptian and Assyrian motifs, which was unique to the Ammonite culture. The statue's large head, feet, and unadorned presentation resemble the artistic styles of the Neo-Hittites and Arameans in northern Syria and southeastern Anatolia. Meanwhile, the full beard, draped clothing with fringes and tassels, and the position of the arms reflect the appearance of Assyrian kings in statuary. The classic Egyptian posture adopted by the statue's arms was widely adopted throughout the eastern Mediterranean. This colossal statue contributes to the growing body of evidence supporting the existence of the Ammonite kingdom as described in the Bible. Another significant finding in the area was the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. These ancient manuscripts were found between 1947 and 1956 in 11 caves near Kiryat Qumran, located on the northwestern shores of the Dead Sea. Dating back approximately 2,000 years, from the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE, the Dead Sea Scrolls hold immense importance beyond their age. Firstly, the Dead Sea Scrolls provide the earliest known evidence of biblical texts in the world. Most of the scrolls were written in Hebrew, with a smaller number in Aramaic or Greek. The majority of these writings were inscribed on homemade parchment, although a few were documented on papyrus. While many of the scrolls have survived only as fragments, scholars have painstakingly reconstructed approximately 950 different manuscripts of varying lengths. The manuscripts can be categorized into 3 main groups: biblical, apocryphal, and sectarian. The biblical manuscripts consist of around 200 copies of Hebrew Bible books, with fragments from every book except Esther. Among the apocryphal manuscripts are works previously known solely through translations or completely unknown to the world. The sectarian manuscripts encompass a wide range of literary genres, including biblical commentary, religious legal writings, liturgical texts, and apocalyptic compositions. Most scholars believe that the scrolls formed the library of the Essene sect that inhabited Qumran. However, it is evident that the members of this sect only wrote a portion of the scrolls themselves, while the rest were either composed or copied elsewhere. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls marks a pivotal moment in the study of ancient Jewish history. Never before has such a vast literary treasure been unearthed, offering invaluable insights into the lives and beliefs of the Jewish people in ancient times. The initial encounter with the scrolls was entirely serendipitous. In 1947, Bedouin, who are the indigenous people of the Negev Desert in southern Israel, stumbled upon the first 7 scrolls in a cave near Kiryat Qumran on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea. Archaeologist Sukenik promptly acquired 3 of the scrolls on behalf of the Hebrew University, while the remaining scrolls were purchased by Mar Athanasius Yeshua Samuel, the primate of the Syrian Orthodox Church of the United States in 1948. Samuel clandestinely smuggled the 4 scrolls he possessed to the United States. It was not until 1954 that Sukenik's son, Yigael Yadin, who was also an archaeologist, managed to retrieve them. Subsequently, from 1949 to 1956, additional fragments of approximately 950 different scrolls were discovered. These findings were made by both Bedouins and a collaborative archaeological expedition involving the École Biblique et Archéologique Française and the Rockefeller Museum. Since then, no further scrolls have been unearthed, although sporadic excavations have taken place at the site and its vicinity. Another archaeological breakthrough that was made on the Jordan River was the bone remains excavated in the area, proving that humans may have inhabited the banks around 60,000 years ago. Human beings hunted large animals, including the extinct cattle species known as aurochs, at this location. However, the identity of these ancient hunters remains a mystery. Whether they were Neanderthals, modern humans, hybrids, or an unknown species has yet to be determined. What is certain is that they engaged in extensive hunting of aurochs, as evidenced by the abundance of aurochs' bones at the site. Notably, the lithic assemblages found mainly consisted of pointed elements associated with spear tips and cutting tools, rather than a diverse range of tools typically seen in that time period. The evidence suggests that the site was used for short durations, perhaps only a week at a time, and served specific tasks, primarily the butchering and processing of the hunted animal carcasses. Surprisingly, the lithic assemblage indicates that the hunters did not employ complex tool use, and only a small number of spear tips showed diagnostic impact fractures. This implies that the hunters approached their prey at close proximity, risking injury or even death. This revelation challenges our assumptions about the sophistication of ancient hunting techniques. Humans were not merely surviving. They were the predators, confronting animals that were much larger and more fearsome than themselves. What's even more astonishing is that these findings do not represent the earliest evidence of human existence and active habitation in the region. Around 780,000 years ago, in what is presently northern Israel, prehistoric humans would frequently congregate by the Jordan River. They employed an advanced method of controlled fire to cook and consume enormous fish that they caught from the adjacent Lake Hula. Analyzing the remains of carp-like fish teeth found at the site revealed a specific slow-cooking method that heated the fish to a precise temperature, melting the rest of the skeleton before consumption. This discovery highlights the importance of fish in the diet and economic stability of prehistoric humans, as well as the existence of fish species that have since become extinct in the ancient Lake Hula. The Exodus, documented in the second book of the Bible, has long been a topic of scholarly discussion regarding its historical validity, particularly concerning the assertion that the Israelites migrated from Egypt during that era. However, a recent discovery suggests that potential historical evidence supporting the biblical account of the Exodus can be found in a site near the Jordan River. Archaeologists Ralph K. Hawkins and David Ben Shlomo have revealed that at the archaeological site of Khirbet el-Mastara in the Jordan Valley, there are indications of ancient ruins associated with a nomadic people believed to be the Hebrews who originated from Egypt. Excavations conducted by archaeologists have uncovered pottery fragments that can be traced back to the early Iron Age, a period commonly associated with the Israelites' departure from Egypt. These pottery remains were found in close proximity to several low stone walls, which are believed to have served as basic enclosures for livestock. During their investigation, the research team identified distinct indications of a past settlement at the site. Based on their understanding of the settlement practices of Bedouins, who were nomadic Middle Eastern Arabs, the researchers recognized the low stone walls as animal enclosures. It was noted that the nomadic Bedouins typically resided in temporary dwellings made of perishable materials, which rendered the stone walls unnecessary for their housing needs. Consequently, the team inferred that the structures were likely used to accommodate animals, while the inhabitants resided in tents situated in the vicinity. Further supporting evidence stems from the secluded location of the camp. The decision to conceal their encampment within the hills indicates that the residents of Khirbet el-Mastara harbored concerns of potential hostilities from local populations upon their arrival in this new territory. The Jordan River stands as a powerful symbol of the interconnectedness of humanity, bridging the gaps between different cultures, faiths, and historical periods, and reminding us of our shared roots and aspirations. Only time will unveil the future discoveries that await in this region. What are your thoughts about this? I hope you like our story. Until the next one.